Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. I have a short Homeworx candle review for you today. And this is one that actually is a very long-standing candle for Homeworx. I don't know exactly when it came out, but it's been many years. And I've seen this one in Marshalls and TJ Maxx's for years as well. So I think it's a fairly popular one and one that comes around quite a bit. Candle in question is Winter Fireside. And I think it's really stunning, this wraparound here of these like slate kind of gray toned logs. Yeah. I mean, there is something very like simple about it, but his wraparounds, his photorealistic, Harry Slatkin's photorealistic wraparound labels are really stunning anyway. And like, I think this one is too. There's something super simple about it, but especially depending upon your decor preferences, how great is that? There's something neutral, but also like cozy and outdoorsy and just, it's really, really stunning. Yeah, it's such a simple thing. Just all of those logs, like vertical like that. Okay, so Winter Fireside, and I've seen this, like I said, for years and years. The notes on this one are sultry incense, smoked firewood, rich clove buds, and mulled spices. So super spicy and some smoke and some wood. And yeah, I think that that's the case. This is a stunning candle. Yes, there are a lot of candles in this genre now, not only probably from Harry Slatkin, but also in other companies as well. Because it's become very popular, like the hearthside, wood fire, bonfire, especially like in the fall period kind of candle, especially like a really authentic one from a more premium company. And this is a stunning candle. Yes, there are the spices, and I do think that it is clove forward, but it's a very soft clove. Like, it's not a particularly sharp or biting one, such that you would say it's kind of a clove candle with other things. I mean, they're really right on the money with the sultry incense. It does say rich clove buds, so they are shouting it out, and mulled spices. And the mulled spices are going to have some cinnamon, probably some anise, and maybe some ginger or some allspice. And cloves are usually in mulled spices as well. So it's appropriate that cloves get the shout out and that they are, in fact, the most identifiable spice here in this spice complex or this spice accord. And yes, there is something smoky, but it's beautiful and it's soft. And yes, there is a strong wood smell as well. There is almost a smell of pine or something a little bit green and coniferous. So it's not just dried logs here, but when I was smelling it, there was a little bit of like a peppery herbal kind of green note that felt a little like a spruce or a fir or a pine, maybe a branch being thrown into that fire, which kind of brightened the whole thing up and added a little bit more botanical vibrancy than if it was just like dead wood being burned with spices. Yes, it's a little bit of an austere candle, a little more austere than many of Harry Slatkin's candles are, actually. And I love that. But there's also something kind of creamy, soft, and cozy about this candle, like in an airbrushed way. I often like candles that are a bit more rugged even than this one. I like the sharpness, I like the poignance, and sometimes I don't need it to be like cozy and creamy so much as like sharp and vivid and rugged and authentic. And I don't know that this is like the most authentic. This is kind of like somebody who goes out with like their LL Bean, you know, on or whatever. Like, they're outdoorsy and they're cool and they've got all the flannel and they like look the part, but kind of in a like very refined, preppy kind of way. It's a sanitized and curated outdoor experience, if you know what I mean. That's exactly what this is. It's all the austerity and the ruggedness, you know, like one of those like male models who just like looks like $1,000,000, you know, and he's got his axe, but you're like, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't know how to use his axe. But if all axe wielders just like looked like him, it would just be amazing, you know? Like he looks like improbably good looking at the same time. Yeah, it's one of those kind of candles. So I would say it leans masculine, but it's the kind of candle where if you're kind of like a girl's girl and you don't really do a whole lot of masculine candles, I think it's one you could kind of get behind. I see girls all the time who like really like girl candles, and then they get a candle like this and they'll be like, I wish my boyfriend smelled like this. Which, like, there's no reason why you could just like this candle. Like, it doesn't have to be like the way a boyfriend or the way a man smells or something like that, you know? But I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is I think this would be a very attractive and compelling and like pleasing candle to a whole range of candle buyers. And maybe that's the reason why it shows up at Marshall's and TJ Maxx as often as it does. Would I repurchase this one? Yes, I would, because the fragrance is just that beautiful. That said, the performance was not great. And by performance, I mean, I burned this all the way down. It started getting discolored toward the end. But for the most part, it wasn't bad in terms of like sooting or anything like that. I did get some soot here, but that was because I was holding it weirdly as I was lighting it once, so it's not really indicative of how it burned. So that wasn't bad, but the strength and throw on it was kind of in the 6 realm. It might have been a 5. Because shortly after the initial burns, when I could kind of see the way it was performing, I'm like, so I think we're gonna live in the hurricane now until we're done. And then in the hurricane, I could get it up to like a 6, a 6.5. I don't really think it got up to a 7, and that was in the hurricane. So I do think that if you don't have a hurricane, you do need to adjust your expectations about how far this will go. This would be a really great like bedroom scent. If you have a bedroom and you like a bedroom vibe that's a little bit on the log cabin cozy side. If you don't have that kind of bedroom, you don't have that kind of bedroom vibe, it would still be really nice in like a living room or a den or something like that. I don't know that it would do quite as well in one of those cathedral ceiling, like open concept kind of spaces. And if you've got that, just make sure you kind of tuck it in the corner and make sure that it's in a hurricane. And just know that you'll probably get about a 6, and that's about it on it. But a really stunning candle and a stunning fragrance, and it deserves the popularity that I think that it has. And it's a little bit of a sleeper. It's underrated a little bit in that people don't talk about it as much anymore, and it doesn't have the buzz. And I do think it's a little tiny bit off-brand for Harry Slatkin, who generally gravitates more toward gourmands, toward heavily sweet candles, and perhaps even skews a little bit feminine in terms of the direction that many of his candles go in. This kind of leans against that, and it's got a very nice, like, austere, spicy, outdoorsy, rugged kind of feel to it. But one I think that even all of the very feminine leaning folks would still really appreciate and might find kind of palate cleansing and like exhilarating in a certain kind of way, you know, like well, that sounds indecent, but you know, just like gives you an energizing, I guess, is what I was after. Yes, energizing. So I recommend it. Winter Fireside, really fantastic. Yes, you could very easily and nicely burn this in the fall. It smells like a fall candle, but you could absolutely burn it in January. You could also burn it in February. And those spices and the coziness and the creaminess make it the kind of candle that you could burn during cold weather at any time. So do it. Especially if you're like kind of in like spice withdrawal, you know, how like you've got all those holiday candles, super spicy. Sugar is like that too. Sugar, spice, and then it's like January and new resolutions and fresh and clean and like only eating healthy things. And then you go into like sugar withdrawal and spice withdrawal and tree withdrawal. And you need some candles that have a little bit of it, you know, just to kind of taper you down a little bit. This might be a great candle. So I recommend it. Just adjust your expectations. The pour on this was June of 22, which was not a particularly good season for pores. I probably should have looked at that before I bought it at Marshall's. Generally speaking, the 2023 pores have been doing a little bit better than the 2022 ones. So I'm sure this one will continue to be poured and repoured, and perhaps there's another iteration that will be a little bit stronger than this one. I really hope so. If you've had this one in a stronger iteration, let me know. It will give me hope because I really do plan on repurchasing this one. I like it. I'll catch you in the next one.